2024 has been a massive year for robot lawnmowers in Australia. We're going to look back on what we've achieved this last year in 2024, and maybe touch on some of the new products coming in 2025. So firstly, I want to thank everyone for helping us out over the last year. 2024, we've had plenty of customers come through the store and plenty of people actually watching our videos on YouTube as well. So big thank you for everyone for subscribing. So I'm here today, we're gonna have a good chat about what's happened in 2024. I've got Mick, our senior installer out in the field, so he's our field technician. And we're just gonna have a quick chat about what's happened this last year. So Mick, this year, 2024, what are the new robots we've actually come in? We've had, let's talk about Husqvarna. Neras. So the Neras come out early this year. I think it was early this year. Might have been late 2023, but early 2024.
Yep.
Gone through a few of them now. Generally, we're pretty happy with them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been too many issues. We did go through a little issue there with heat in the battery systems through summer. We believe that's been sorted now. Anything else we had with the Neras?
No, not with the Neras.
The height of them, so the actual physical height of the machines, they are definitely lower than like the commercial series machines. So we do find that we tend to we can find them trapped, a little bit more often than some of the other machines. But as long as they're on good lawn, they're reliable. I'll happily run 24/7 without any troubles. So for anyone who doesn't know, so the Neras came out this year, which are the wireless versions for the domestic properties. So for domestic yards and things, from anywhere from sort of 1,000 square meters up to 7,000 square meters per robot, thereabouts. Mows in systematic lines, just generally just a really good robot. And we've, like I said, we've been generally pretty damn happy with them. Really solid platform, good things. Commercial robots for Husqvarna. That's where we've been a little bit more excited this year.
Yes, so quite a few now.
Yeah, so quite a few commercial robots getting out there, and particularly the 550 EPOS, like the one that's on the table here. Super reliable robot. The 550, just once it's taken control of the grass, we don't see issues, do we? Like
Not at all.
They just continue on. They work 24/7 happily, change the blades, and that really is it. They just do their job up to 10,000 square meters in systematic mowing, wireless. Yeah.
Very reliable.
Yeah, you really can't go past them. Yes, they're a bit more expensive than the other robots, but honestly, you really do get the reliability out of them.
Get your money's worth for them.
You do. You get your money's worth. 5-year warranty, all that sort of stuff that comes along with them, and the Husqvarna after sales. Actually, you probably experience this more than anyone else here, but the service tools in the back end for actually looking after these things.
Very easy. Very easy to diagnose things.
Yeah. Yep.
Super simple.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, and the amount of information we get in the back end is just tenfold of any other robot we've got than what we sell. So we're really happy with the back end of Husqvarna.
Definitely.
Moving on, let's talk about Kress. Look, there hasn't been a lot of action in the Kress space for us this year, but the robots themselves are really solid. The RTKn, by the power of network, as they say, it really is a good system. It just relies on that network being available in the right spaces. So we've done a few trials over this year, and look, again, I think the robots themselves are really solid. And actually, we did a couple of comparisons here, even with the 550 on some trials with the 233 Kress. And look, in general terms, we like the Kress better when it comes to the actual quality of cut.
Yeah.
It really did do a really good job.
Different types of grass for Kress, definitely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they generally handle the thicker grass a little bit better. But traction on the Kress is pretty good as well. Actually, they really have. In fact, the Kress mowers have probably done better than I ever thought they would when it comes to traction. I actually thought they'd have issues on slopes, and they really don't. As long as you're only talking about slopes that are up in that 45% range, nothing higher than that, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Been solid. The charging platform I found on the Kress actually to be really good. As in, I don't think we had a lot of charging issues with Kress.
No.
Which again, something I sort of thought might have actually happened, is we might have started seeing dirty contacts on the Kress machines, and we just don't. So they, again, type of robot that can work 24/7 without any issues at all.
Reliable.
There is the whole mapping scenario of you need the mapping cart to map.
Yeah.
And I know Mick here is not the biggest fan of the mapping cart.
No.
I personally like it. Mick not so much, but yeah, I think it's just to do with speed, really, isn't it? It's really about the speed of the mapping process.
The process of it.
So it's not an issue for the customer; it's just an issue for us. But mostly, again, super reliable robots. Haven't seen really any faults with them whatsoever. Let's talk about Mammotion. So, big year for Mammotion, obviously. Look, the most popular robot I think we've ever sold, essentially. Luba 2, the sales have been through the roof. It's the capability of the robot is just insane. Working under areas. I mean, how many times have we been to a site and we've gone in there and looked out behind the shed between some trees? It's a 2 metre wide space. There's a 20-foot wall on one side and a hedge on the other, and we've told the customer, nah,
it's not going to work.
It won't work in here.
Not a chance.
Get it out, map it out, and away it goes.
Flawless.
Flawless.
Every time.
Never fails. Always maps in areas that we just seriously, on paper, it shouldn't be able to do. So, since we sort of first started selling Luba 1 and Luba 2, it's been surprising us all the way along.
And how much they've been improving with their apps, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. The app used to be terrible,
Really
terrible at best, and now it's quite solid. Yeah, they still have connection issues here and there, but it's not really. We don't really see any issues that are ongoing for customers once they really learn how to do the connections. They generally seem to be okay. We see there's more warranty claims on Luba than there is on anything else. But we've also sold so many more Lubas than anything else. Customers do need to set their expectations correctly, that Lubas get used in some pretty unforgiving environments. People buy them, they go and throw them out in 5,000 square metres of paddock, and they work them to the bone, and then 6 months, 12 months later they say something's gone wrong with my robot. Why did that happen? It's because you really are putting it in some terrible environments. So expectations do need to be set correctly for that product. The other one that came this year from Mammotion is Yuka. Now, we don't have Yukas, we're not selling them. There's a reason for that. But we have had them here. We've been testing them, only just recently really we've been testing them out. And the biggest issue we have is the deck.
Unbalanced deck.
Just an unbalanced deck. And it's not something that can just be fixed simply. So primarily that is the reason why we don't sell them at this point in time. We're waiting for that deck to get stabilised, and it'll come through, and we'll be able to get them on board as soon as we got confidence that they will be able to do so. But the machine itself, again, it's almost like Luba. It works in any condition, sort of thing. It's 2-wheel drive, so it doesn't have the same full drivability as Luba does, but it's still going to work in those areas where it doesn't have, where you've got very little GPS signal or GNSS signal. So Yuka, great machine. Like I said, the only reason why we don't sell them is just the deck stability. So we'll get there on that, and hopefully that deck stability will improve very soon. We might talk a little bit about that further down the track. Segway iSeries. We don't have one here because they're so hot of a product that they get sold out before we get them. In fact, we got a shipment in today and it's been sold out and it's been dispatched today as well. So keeping hold of them has been a bigger problem than actually anything else. The product itself, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I really like the machine.
Segway is a good product.
It's refined is probably the biggest thing I always say. It's a refined product. I think we did that in some of the earlier videos for the H-Series as well, is that they spend so much more time testing their software that by the time we get it, there's nothing wrong with it. It works perfectly almost all the time. And the I-Series, people ask this question all the time about the H-Series and the I-Series, what the actual difference is. The biggest difference is actually the brains in the I-Series is bigger than the brains in the H-Series. It's got more computing power than what the H-Series got. Even though it's a smaller machine, it's actually got more computing power than the H-Series does. And that equates to working well in low GNSS signal areas. And again, it's very much like Luba. We don't see all these areas where you think it's not going to work. It just works. It just works. I haven't tested Luba. For people who've watched other videos, I do a test in my own property where I take the robot from the front yard to the backyard and see if it can make it through a single gate. Now I've done that on all the robots, but I haven't done it on Luba 2 recently since the last 5-10 firmware updates that it's had. because Segway iSeries has been the only robot that can actually navigate down my lawn through the single pedestrian gate down around the house to the backyard. It's the only robot that's ever been able to do that, and to this day it still is the only robot, except for my H-Series that I have at home, that can do it now but couldn't 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I really do need to get Luba back down and actually test it to see if Luba can now do that. But if Luba can't, it still means that Segway iSeries has actually got the best navigation system out of every robot we've got.
Yeah.
And yeah, reliability wise, we don't see errors. We've had a couple of connection errors with the iSeries, but outside of that, we don't have to repair them. Oh, we've had one camera, or was it? Oh, actually, yeah, it was one camera that has a fail on, but that's it. Out of
the iSeries.
Out of all the iSeries we've sold, we've only had to repair one.
Yeah.
But then if you want to revert back to the H-Series, we haven't had to repair any.
None.
We've been selling H-Series for almost 2 years, basically. Yeah. So that's the Segway iSeries. Honestly, great robot, the Segway. We really do like it. And then a recent addition for us is the MoeBot Acer Eater. So the Sunseeker Orion X7, I think the model was. So it's a Sunseeker company that actually puts them out, and MoeBot are actually distributing them in Australia with their brand on it. We haven't had a lot of experience with them yet, but what we have done so far, we've been pretty happy with. Basically, it's going to compete with Luba because it's a 3-wheel drive machine, and it's got basically the same slope abilities as what Luba's got. But we haven't really tested exactly what the limitations really are of that machine. We have used it. The software is quite clunky because they are definitely a fair way behind some of these other machines or other brand manufacturers. In how what they've actually developed, but it's completely functional. It works really perfectly well. I've actually had them out here testing out the side here for quite a bit, and everything is completely functional on it. It really does a good job. The best thing about it, actually, there's one here. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera here, but the best thing about the Sunseeker or the MoeBot is the third wheel. So it's a 3-wheel drive system, but the third wheel actually turns, and we'll do a whole bunch of reviews on that machine. So we'll see more in the future. But it's very, very gentle on your grass because that third wheel turns. It does a nice little turn when it turns around without sliding or without slipping, as opposed to Luba where it's dragging its front wheels across there and potentially damaging your lawn. So the Sunseeker is going to be very good for that. But stay tuned for more videos and reviews on that so we can give you honest feedback. So that's all sort of the new stuff that come through. Previously, before that, so because it was all back in 2023. We also had the Segway H-Series, which again, we all generally, in fact, you've got one at home too, don't you?
Yep.
We've both got a Segway H-Series at home, so if that tells you anything. They really do a good job. They're just so reliable at what they do. The Works Vision, the Works Vision model, which is up on the shelf up there, we'll put a picture on the screen for you. They're still very relevant, and the Ecovacs Goat G1 as well. Still a relevant machine for 2024. You just got to ensure that they're being installed on a property that's suitable, and that's where we come in. So if you're looking at goats and the Works Vision, then I really do recommend you actually do call us and talk about it and send us images of your property, so we can actually advise to you exactly what your experience is likely going to be out of those types of products. But yeah, that's sort of it for what's actually, that's all the wireless models that we actually sell on here at the moment. So I suppose what everyone's watching this video for is what's happening in 2025, what's coming. And to be really honest, we don't have a lot of visibility, not much more visibility than you do yourself when you get on Reddit and places like that and go and hunt around. Husqvarna, we know there's some things coming from Husqvarna. We don't necessarily know exactly what they are. We don't know their capabilities, but we know there's some more commercial machines coming.
Yep.
And we know that they've also got what's the news? There's a new series of the Nera called that they released in the US. It's the same machine, but they're now starting to introduce radar vision and that sort of thing into it. So there's getting a little bit more information, a bit more technology getting put into Husqvarna. Like I sort of said, Husqvarna are very secretive. We don't get much information out of them at all. In fact, typically we'll find the information on Reddit somewhere else before anyone in Husqvarna ever tells you anything, because they are very secretive about what their R&D is doing at any given time. But we do know that vision's part of their forward motion. So there will be vision coming into Husqvarna products in time. We don't know when that is. hopefully we start seeing it in 6 to 12 months, but honestly, it could be much further away. We really don't know. Kress, we haven't heard much of Kress, have we?
Nothing from Kress.
So we don't know what technology Kress is moving to, whether they are introducing new technologies. You know, because they don't have vision in Kress now, but they do have their ultrasonic sensors at the front, and they also have their dead reckoning software, so which does work very, very well. So Kress really do work quite well under trees now. What they do moving forward, we don't really know. We are expecting larger machines, the ride-on type stuff. That's, you know, hopefully we'll see at some point. Again, no visibility from Kress on when we're going to actually see that. Mammotion, everyone's going on at the moment. Luba 3, there's a Luba 3 coming. There's no Luba 3 coming. We've been told under no uncertain terms that there is no Luba 3. There is very likely over manufacturing. They're going to start manufacturing Luba 2, you know, with some improvements over time, but that's all we know of. We don't believe there's going to be any new product in that Luba space. Yuka is the one space that I think there is going to be movement, because one is we know that they're going to work on fixing this levelling issue, and two, we've been hunting around a bit for information lately, but we believe there's going to be a smaller version of the Yuka coming out that might have a single bladed system. Hopefully.
Good for smaller yards.
Yeah, good for smaller yards. With that technology they've got in there, it's actually it'll compete with the iSeries. It'll come back with that, you know, hopefully a sub $2,000 machine if we're lucky, hopefully. And it'll compete with the iSeries in the small spaces. But we'll see. Keep your eye out, see what Mammotion actually released in the next few months. Who else is there? Segway, exciting one actually, but we're not going to see it for a little while. The X series. Looks pretty cool.
Does look very cool.
It's got a line trimmer on the side. That's what we're after. Everyone's asking for line trimmers on the side. I personally don't quite see how a line trimmer is going to work very well, but we don't make these things. We just install them. Line trimmer on the side. It's up to, I think it's a 6,000 square metre model. I think that the X line's going up to. But we also don't know when we're going to see it. At this point in time, we're hoping we see it in 2025, but we're not sure of that at all. So we'll see. But that'll be a one to really, really keen to get to see how that line trimmer works, and how it actually manages to actually sense the edge and keep that line trim in the right spot. That's what I can't understand. How it's physically actually going to work, I don't know. So works. I do believe the works are doing something in R&D in the background, but we've got so little visibility of it, we don't really know what's coming. But I'm really hoping that Works bring out the vision machine that they already have, because it works very, very well with just vision. If they get some other type of positioning system inside there, whether that's a V-slam type technology, or whether it's RTK or something to give it better positioning, so it can then work in lines rather than random pattern, I think they'll have a really good machine. Because reliability wise, as we know from these guys up here, is that Works are just the most reliable machines.
They're the best.
They are fantastic. They really are, and the company is really, really good. So warranties and all that sort of stuff. They're so good at making things right if something goes wrong. Really do rate Works as a company. And like I said, the product, if they just need to get something more into that positioning system, so it can do its thing. Hopefully there's something coming. I know they're working on stuff in the background, we just don't get much visibility about what they're working on. So Ecovacs, nothing. We don't know anything about Ecovacs. They've released the Goat. Goat was a fantastic product for a single space. They then released software that would allow it to do multiple areas. Works okay as long as that's got a reasonable pathway between the areas. But we don't see much more out of that.
No.
I'm really not sure where they can take that technology. I don't know. It's a hard one.
It is a hard one.
It's a hard one. I don't know where they're going to go. Hopefully they're working on something. Hopefully we see something spectacular comes out of them, because they're a large company. They've got the R&D department to do it. So hopefully we see something new from Ecovacs, but we're not aware of anything coming. So that's all the brands that we do sell. What's coming from the brands that we don't sell? Like, there's so much out there, hey?
There's a lot.
we come in all the time. It's like, hey, did you see this new XYZ brand that came out from China or from Taiwan, wherever it might be? It looks really good, and then you dig a bit deeper and you find out that it's only a 3D printed machine or something, and they've got 2 of them in the world, and they're on Kickstarter and they're selling them for $2,000, and they're trying to sell $14 million worth of them or something. Yeah. So they just pop up over and over again. They do. So we spend, how much time do we spend talking upstairs about just stuff?
Hours.
We lose a lot of time around here just talking about stuff, almost like we are now. Yeah. There's so many of these brands coming through. Mostly they sort of go through Kickstarter and things like that. Yeah. They generally it always goes through Kickstarter or something, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they actually release them out and release them straight to the public or what it might be. But there's not many that we trust. No. The only things that I'm actually looking forward to is probably, there's Yarbo. Yep. Keen to see what Yarbo's about. And we do believe, hopefully, we believe that they are sort of going to be in Australia this year. We don't know when, but yeah, keen to get a look at that. They've been going for probably 2-3 years now, at least 2 years on the robot mower and probably 3 or 4 years on the snowblower that they have, which is not exactly going to be great in Australia. But keen to see that. Yes. I really think that it's the type. I mean, it's like a Sciora basically. It's a rough terrain Sciora. That's going to do a lot less space, but still, it's going to be something that I think is going to be really good for acreage, if it works in Australia. That is. Clearly, it works around the world. They're selling quite a few of them now, although it's winter in most of the world now. So hopefully, we'll have them before long, and we'll be able to test them and take some videos for them. Not much else out there. Neomo, so the X line, so the Hooky Neomo X.
Haven't heard much from them.
Haven't heard much from them for a while now. So realistically, I'm hoping that we, hopefully we get something from them, at some point again. I'm keen to look further into this V-Slam technology. That's in the MoeBot. So the MoeBot's got the V-Slam, but so is the X line. Be good to do a comparison, particularly between those two robots on a flat surface, because the Neomo is only a little 2-wheel drive machine. Just to sort of see what they can do, but. Hopefully, touch wood, we'll see something from Hooky. Outside of that, I'm not sure what else is like. There's not a lot of things coming from China or other brands that we're really aware of that is going to be ready for general public. Everything else just seems to go through Kickstarter. Sometimes they don't make it much further than that. Other times they do. There's a few brands out there that come to mind now that came out 2 or 3 years ago that we just haven't seen them evolve into a product. So hopefully some other stuff happens, I don't know. So look, that's probably it, I suppose.
Any favorites that you guys like for your personal homes?
Look, favourites, like I said before, Mick and I both have a H-Series Segway. Neither of us have 2-minute slopes. I've got a bit of slope in my property, and I'll admit the H-Series, I push the H-Series to its absolute limit on slopes. It cannot do literally 1 degree more than I have on my property, because if it did, if I increase my slopes 1 degree, that H-Series will not do the job. It's done. It won't do it. But it does. It does everything I want it to do. So I really do favour the Segway software. Probably. I mean, I don't know about yourself, but I reckon. What's your favourite? I suppose.
For me, it'd be Luba.
As far as installing.
Luba. It's the simplest to install. By far. Very closely by Husqvarna. Husqvarna is so simple. There's a few little niggly things with Husqvarna to install. But simplicity, Luba all day. Just easy customization with Luba is by far, compared to any other robot.
That ability to actually have a task scheduled, and you can change every single setting at a task level, and you can have a different task 5 times a day, every day of the week.
To be able to see where it's mowed, how it's going to mow, which other brands just don't do at the moment.
You've got a record of everything. You can go any point in time. You can go into 2 o'clock Tuesday last week. I want to see what it did, and it will tell you that it completed zone 5. Whatever it might be. You can go back and see what it's actually done, and like I say, when it's actually mowing, it's got the nice little lines that it actually follows. It executes the lines as it goes through, so you can actually see what it's actually doing. And yeah, back on the other one with Husqvarna, it executes everything perfectly. It's the visibility of what it does is the one thing that you struggle with. So, but outside of that, I mean, again, I suppose we put these two on the table here pretty much specifically, I suppose, because these are the two products that that are the most popular at the moment. Very closely followed by Segway. But this guy will mow 600 square meters per hour if you want to ramp it up to its fastest speed. But we don't recommend that it mows for more than 6-12 hours a day max. If you start mowing more than that, it's going to end up back here being repaired.
It is.
That mows about 450 square meters per hour, so it's a little bit slower, but it'll happily mow 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Never falter, never fail.
That's probably our difference between consumer and
commercial. That's right, and that's probably exactly what it is. And it's the same with the Kress stuff. It can run 24/7, whereas all of the other stuff you generally don't want to. However, I don't know. I'd probably trust a Segway to run 24/7. I think they'll handle it. Whereas a lot of other machines, or nearly all the other machines, really probably won't. So it's that runtime durability, I suppose. So yeah, that's 2024 and 2025. Hopefully, see if any of our predictions come somewhat true. I don't know. As I said, we don't have a lot of visibility. People call us all the time saying, "Hey, should I buy now or should I wait for the next one?" It's like, look,
we don't know.
We don't know what's coming. We never know what's coming properly. We get some information, but we don't generally know too much about it. So the right time to buy a robot is when you want to buy a robot. Just buy them. It's like everything else. Go and buy a laptop. 2 days later there's a better model out, but it's the same. It's all just technology. You can't hold off for the next best thing, because as soon as you get there, you'll be waiting for the next best thing. So it has evolved very quickly. It's sort of how we started this video, was that 2024 was such a big year. It's the year we've sort of been waiting for a long time, because we knew all this wireless technology was coming. It just never actually arrived. And this year it really did arrive.
It did.
So, you've certainly been busy all year. Just out installing left, right, and centre.
Any tip you can kind of give to people who do buy one and are having troubles with, installing before you get there? Or is it always just you have to go install it yourself?
No, so people who install themselves, if you have dramas, obviously give us a call. That's what we're here for. But tip-wise, depends what robot.
And what land.
It's very...
Mow your grass.
Mow your grass.
Mow your grass before you install it.
Yes.
Don't let the robot mow thick, long grass. Not a single robot in this room likes mowing long, thick grass.
No.
Ideally, my absolute number one tip, and it comes from a series of other videos we've been doing, is that if you want to mow your grass with a robot mower at 50 millimeters, cut your grass at 45 millimeters with a push mower or a ride-on mower, and then set your robot to 50 millimeters and let the grass grow up to the robot. So the robot's not under stress. The biggest thing we get upstairs, so we got two repairers upstairs full time now. All they get is issues with drive motors and cutting motors, and it's always caused because they're mowing long grass. That's always what happens.
Overworking the machine.
Just overworking the machine, and it's not what they're designed for. They're all maintenance mowers. They're not lawn mowers as such. They are maintenance mowers. They're designed to cut a very small amount off and not have too much load on their blade system. So as soon as you do it, and everyone does it, I do it, for God's sake. That's right. I really do. But if for some reason your robot doesn't work for 4 or 5 days, for whatever reason that is, and your grass has grown up and it now needs to cut 20 mil off, don't send your robot out. Just go and mow it. Pay someone to come mow your lawn, whatever it might be. It'll save you grief in the long run. So it
Most
really
definitely.
will. So that's about it, guys. Like always, if you want any information from us in Australia, just give us a call. Check out all of our socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What else we got? Our email address, sales@robotlawnmowers.com.au. If you want to know if a robot's suitable for your yard, send a bunch of photos and your address to our email address, and then we can actually look at it. We'll analyse your property for you and let you know exactly what robot's most suitable for you. Outside of that, have a good new year.